Boa noite ou bom dia, conforme a hora que estão a ver o vídeo. Eu gostaria de falar da E3 deste ano e da minha opinião e dos meus pensamentos acerca da E3 deste ano e acerca da PC Engine ou Turbo Grafx Mini. Antes de mais, esta E3 foi uma das piores E3 de sempre. Não há dúvida, foi uma E3 fraca e honestamente acho que não foi apenas por causa da ausência. E honestamente não acho que foi por causa apenas por causa da ausência da Sony. Acho que também esta foi a E3 mais Hulk de sempre. A E3 mais SJW de sempre, na minha opinião. Foi mesmo, na minha opinião, foi uma das piores da E3. Sem dúvida, o jogo mais ofensivo para os europeus foi sem dúvida Watch Dogs Legion. Não há dúvida alguma que foi o jogo mais ofensivo. E se viram um vídeo do Fat Attack, eu vou até mostrar o vídeo porque acho que é importante. O vídeo do Fat Attack, que ele sobre o Watch Dogs Legion. Antes de mais, também quero dizer uma coisa. Eu ainda estou para fazer um vídeo acerca dos resultados das eleições europeias e em breve eu hei de colocar este vídeo na internet. Não se preocupem. Eu hei de fazer um vídeo sobre o resultado. Ok, este vídeo.
Interesting games and not if they resist. They don't actually care about the communities that they shit up. They're happy to destroy a franchise as long as they're the ones who rule over it.
Wait, isto about?
Cyberpunk 2020, but how make their trans status a story point reinforced only by dialogue, which but hey, Cybersloth. Food workers wanted to make more money, they should have gotten STEM degrees. This box art thinks Tyler Durden was the hero, but that breaking a Starbucks...
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
The new Watch Dogs game takes place in a post-Brexit London where Sadiq Khan's knife ban and that he's the one doing cyberpunk incorrectly. But at some point, we've got to move on. Ubisoft.
What's going on, everybody? Hey, I'm John. Good to be here. This is Bam Bam the dog. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
The new Watch Dogs game takes place in a post-Brexit London where Sadiq Khan's knife ban has utterly failed to bring law and order. The alt-right has come to power and expelled all non-whites from the police force, making white people the only enemies in the game. The proud British characters uprising against the man are almost universally brown punk kids looking to take back their city, and the entire population is willing to be recruited in the fight against the state, and all you have to do is go and ask them. Yeah, this is the most blatantly political game of E3. And I'd highly recommend you go and watch the gameplay trailer because it tells you so much more than I ever could. There's a few things of note though. The UK's anthem only comes on whenever an old white person shows up, like the retired assassin.
And allow me to introduce you to the deadliest of the lot. She's not old, she's experienced.
Is the implication that the only Brits still in London are the old people, and that your average citizen is not British but rather a proud European like Sadiq? Considering how diverse the UK's police force actually is IRL, it's a wonder how exactly they found this many white people to actually play the role of police state pig. I guess Ubisoft doesn't want to show a brown man acting as an oppressor. Look at these background signs, dude. Hashtag secure London, deport illegal aliens, a pathway to citizenship for immigrants if they choose to work for the cops. Even in a fictional universe where SJWs get to craft their perfect vision of what it would be like for their political enemies to take over, service still guarantees citizenship. These ads don't even say things like, we'll deport all non-white people or something. They just say non-citizens. This is how you know these people think that having open borders is a good thing, or that the very concept of citizenship is bigoted. There's actually nothing objectionable in these ads at all. And God only knows the warped lens that Ubisoft's devs view the world through if they think that immigration control is a dystopian concept. Here's what verified hack Patrick Klepek had to say about Watch Dogs Legion. The recruit everyone for the resistance pitch is undercut by the notion that plenty of people would enjoy and benefit from an authoritarian regime, and have no interest in fighting back. Hopeful the game addresses that in some way. Well, the implication, since you didn't pick it up, Patrick, is that the powers that be in London are behaving so badly that the entire population, regardless of their differences, is willing to rise up against the state. You think that this would be a lefty's wet dream, because this game obviously depicts a post-Brexit society, even as Ubisoft tries to publicly spin that the game is apolitical. But Klepek's complaints about realism actually undermine his own position, although he's too dense to put it together. Yes, plenty of people benefit from an authoritarian regime, or more likely, are just apolitical, or prefer the tyranny of stability to the chaos of upheaval, and therefore would not want to participate in the revolution. That's why Antifa views everyone not them as the fash, or communists view the uninvolved as counter-revolutionary elements. You can't be neutral on a moving train and all. But it's also a possibility that the world Ubisoft has crafted is nothing like reality. The UK surveillance state is not a right-wing creation, but rather something that all parts of the political spectrum has contributed to, the radical left with an especially noteworthy glee about it. It's actually more likely that the future depicted in Watch Dogs Legion is a future where the Remainers won out against the Brexiteers, due to the massive social fracturing caused by the non-integration of anti-British cultures into London, necessitating a heavy police presence to maintain law and order. Slapping a few alt-right slogans around the place and posing like teenage rebels doesn't change the fact that, insofar as Brexit is concerned, this is something that the left are more likely to do than the right. Bethesda.
We have had an incredibly exciting year at Bethesda Game Studios. Given some of that excitement and press...
The entire population is willing to be recruited in the fight against the state, and all you have to do is go and ask them. Yeah, this is the most blatantly political game of E3. And I'd highly recommend you go and watch the gameplay trailer because it tells you so much more than I ever could. There's a few things of note though. The UK's anthem only comes on whenever an old white person shows up, like the retired assassin.
And allow me to introduce you to the deadliest of the lot. She's not old, she's experienced.
Is the implication that the only Brits still in London are the old people, and that your average citizen is not British but rather a proud European like Sadiq? Considering how diverse the UK...
Tendo em conta que eles não são europeus, são todos menos europeus, estes tais, incluindo o Mayor de Londres, o Presidente da Câmara de Londres, não é europeu, é tudo menos europeu.
UK's police force actually is IRL, it's a wonder how exactly they found this many white people to actually play the role of police state pig. I guess Ubisoft doesn't want to show a brown man acting as an oppressor. Look at these background signs, dude. Hashtag secure London, deport illegal aliens, a pathway to citizenship for immigrants if they choose to work for the cops. Even in a fictional universe where SJWs get to craft their perfect vision of what it would be like for their political enemies to take over, service still guarantees citizenship. These ads don't even say things like, we'll deport all non-white people or something. They just say non-citizens. This is how you know these people think that having open borders is a good thing, or that the very concept of citizenship is bigoted. There's actually nothing objectionable in these ads at all. And God only knows the warped lens that Ubisoft's devs view the world through if they think that immigration control is a dystopian concept. Here's what verified hack Patrick Klepek had to say about Watch Dogs Legion. The recruit everyone for the resistance pitch is undercut by the notion that plenty of people would enjoy and benefit from an authoritarian regime, and have no interest in fighting back. Hopeful the game addresses that in some way. Well, the implication, since you didn't pick it up, Patrick, is that the powers that be in London are behaving so badly that the entire population, regardless of their differences, is willing to rise up against the state. You think that this would be a lefty's wet dream, because this game obviously depicts a post-Brexit society, even as Ubisoft tries to publicly spin that the game is apolitical. But Klepek's complaints about realism actually undermine his own position, although he's too dense to put it together. Yes, plenty of people benefit from an authoritarian regime, or more likely, are just apolitical, or prefer the tyranny of stability to the chaos of upheaval, and therefore would not want to participate in the revolution. That's why Antifa views everyone not them as the fash, or communists view the uninvolved as counter-revolutionary elements. You can't be neutral on a moving train and all. But it's also a possibility that the world Ubisoft has crafted is nothing like reality. The UK surveillance state is not a right-wing creation, but rather something that all parts of the political spectrum has contributed to. The radical left with an especially...
Principalmente a esquerda. Principalmente a esquerda, porque eles é que trouxeram para cá os muçulmanos, por isso se há uma ligeira necessidade de haver alguma vigilância é por culpa da esquerda.
Especially noteworthy glee about it. It's actually more likely that the future depicted in Watch Dogs Legion is a future where the Remainers won out against the Brexiteers, due to the massive social fracturing caused by the non-integration of anti-British cultures into London, necessitating a heavy police presence to maintain law and order. Slapping a few alt-right slogans around the place and posing like teenage rebels doesn't change the fact that, insofar as Brexit is concerned, this is something that the left are more likely to do than the right. Bethesda.
Ok, continuando. Como eu estava a dizer, Watch Dogs é extremamente ofensivo para qualquer europeu, não é só para britânicos ou para qualquer europeu que tenha orgulho de ser europeu, que não tem problema nenhum de dizer eu tenho orgulho de ser um europeu branco, de ser um europeu, um verdadeiro europeu, porque os outros não são europeus. É para canalhada, estes canalhas que vieram para cá não são europeus, nós é que somos europeus. Eles são imigrantes e devem-se comportar como tais, que devem-se comportar como alguém que foi, alguém que está como convidado, ou alguém que está como alguém que é externo ao para onde está. Ok? Mas continuando, este foi, e por isso eu não dei. E por isso, mas não só. E depois o resto da apresentação do Ubisoft foi só jogos de telemóveis. E eu dei um colega meu que adora Divisions, adora o jogo Splinter Cell, ficou muito chateado quando foi anunciado um jogo, quando a Ubisoft, quase como... por isso, vamos então aos prémios. Antes de eu falar da PC Engine. Ok. Pior apresentação E3. Ubisoft. Eu estive para dar a Bethesda, mas depois decidi dar a Ubisoft. Depois, a melhor apresentação foi sem dúvida a da Nintendo Direct. A da Square Enix e a da Microsoft foram mais ou menos. Eu pessoalmente gostei mais da apresentação da Square Enix do que da Microsoft, mas a Microsoft também estava interessante, tirando uma ou duas coisas que já vou falar. Melhor surpresa, na minha opinião, foi Panzer Dragoon para a Nintendo Switch. Apesar que também gostei um bocado, Panzer Dragoon para a Switch foi muito fixe. E eu genuinamente gostei. Mas gostei mais do gostei mais da apresentação. Eu gostei mais do Panzer Dragoon. Mas o Trials of Mana também achei interessante e também foi uma boa surpresa. Genuinamente, a apresentação da Nintendo foi uma boa apresentação. Bom, não tem sido perfeita, mas foi uma boa apresentação. Honestamente, acho que foi mesmo uma boa apresentação. Como já disse, a pior foi da Ubisoft. Porque, tirando o Watch Dogs Legion, que já expliquei que foi ofensivo para todos os europeus, e eu peço-vos, imploro, não comprem Watch Dogs Legion. Se for possível, não comprem. Não sei se eu pedi muito, mas se for possível, não comprem. Enfim, mas depois, além disso, só foi jogos de telemóveis. E ainda por cima, um dos jogos de telemóveis que foi anunciado foi um jogo com um jogo foi um Splinter Cell. Foi um jogo com um personagem, com o gajo do Splinter Cell. E ao princípio parecia mesmo que ia ser um jogo do Splinter Cell e depois pumba, com um balde de água, é um jogo de telemóvel estúpido. A Bethesda fez exatamente a mesma coisa com o Captain Comando. Okay. Sim. Agora dá uma. Agora uma branca, peço imensa desculpa. Commander Keen fez exatamente a mesma coisa que Commander Keen e o Commander Keen é um clássico da MS-DOS e era muito fácil ter feito um jogo e eu achei muito mal e por isso no prémio de maior fuck you maior fuck you aos fãs eu dou ao Commander Keen para telemóvel. Para além do jogo ser para telemóvel, que como vocês sabem, a maior parte dos jogadores não gostam muito de jogos para telemóvel. O jogo é um jogo péssimo. Mesmo como um jogo de telemóvel é péssimo. E se vocês forem ver aqui, vou mostrar o trailer. E não tem nada a ver com o que é um típico. E era tão fácil fazer um Commander King bom. Tirando a música para cá está engraçada. Mas tirando a música, nada, e não era assim tão difícil quanto isso fazer um bom jogo Commander King. Podiam ter feito um 2.5D 2.5D jogo de plataformas ao estilo do New Super Mario Bros. Ou Super Mario Brothers. Ou podiam ter feito ao estilo do... Ou podiam ter feito um jogo a 3D, tipo, quase como fosse um jogo de plataformas. Tipo Super Mario 64, mas com o Commander King. Também era engraçado. Ou podiam fazer estilo... Podiam fazer como o Sonic Mania. Também era interessante. Ou ainda melhor, podiam fazer estilo hand-draw, né? Feito à mão, desenhado à mão. Os gráficos, a dizer, mas como fosse desenhado à mão. Também é muito fixe se fizessem feito assim. Mas não. Tinham que fazer esta merda. Mas não. Por isso foi uma pena porque agora a apresentação da Nintendo foi uma pena porque devia ter sido um bom jogo. A única coisa que a Bethesda salva em relação, e não ficou totalmente empatado, apesar ficou bastante perto de estar empatado com a totalmente empatado com a do Ubisoft. A única coisa que salva ligeiramente foi o facto de que o Ghost Hire parece um bom jogo e como é óbvio SJWs tiveram que ter problemas com o facto do jogo ser bom porque alguém algumas pessoas disseram, e com razão, que a rapariga japonesa que está a desenvolver o jogo era engraçada. E é claro.
Interesting games and not too many hilarious.
E claro, as SJWs tiveram problemas. Outra vez indo ao vídeo aqui do Short Fat Otaku. Vamos ver aqui uma coisa. Deixa eu ver se eu encontro.
You the world through if they think that immigration control is a dystopian as cute a way to maintain.
A única coisa que eu acho que salvou a Bethesda de empatar com a quando é aquilo. Não. Por isso vamos ver
Law and order. Slapping a few alt-right slogans around the place and posing like teenage rebels doesn't change the fact that, insofar as Brexit is concerned, this is something that the left are more likely to do than the right. Bethesda.
We have had an incredibly exciting year at Bethesda Game Studios. Given some of that excitement, impressed you're still here.
Okay, Bethesda waifu is adorable. We all know it. She came out on stage, excited and nervous, and announced her game in as cute a way as she could.
Wow, so many people. Wow, thank you. ありがとうございます。It's spooky. It is normal or paranormal? I ask myself this question every time I go to the office. Just kidding. Just kidding, just kidding. We are very excited. Let's take a look. 見てね. Thank you. Bye bye.
She became an instant...
Claro. As feministas tiveram problema.
Meme, and everyone began drawing fan art of her and her onstage antics. And she loved it. She even tweeted montages with heartfelt thanks to all of her fans. SJWs were mad because they are mad as a matter of course. Stop fetishizing Asian women because they're cute. This is racism. I mean, forget about the fact that Ikumi Nakamura designed Bayonetta, a woman with impossibly long legs whose clothes disintegrate as she pulls off increasingly more complex combos. A character that has been an SJW bane for years. Oh no. Now they're on her side. I noticed the blue check marks reposting this older article. Stop calling Asian women adorable. When I'm at work, I want to talk about work. Cute. Adorable. I wish I could adopt you. Pixie. These are the things said by feminists, writers, and people who take time out of their weekends to attend a literary festival. A lot of progressive people. And would-be well-meaning people, many of whom, I imagine, would be dismayed to learn anything they've done could be thought racist. But that's what it is. However well-intentioned, it's racism. Fine with me, Miss Kwan. You're ugly, annoying, and I don't want you to be anywhere near me. Is that better? Good God, imagine living like this. Imagine turning literally everything into a race issue. Eventually people are going to get bored of you and tell you to fuck off because you got nothing insightful to say about anything without wrapping it back around to the color of your skin, which is quite white, by the way. Enjoy your privilege. In the end, the work that Ikumi Nakamura has done is incredible stuff. She's actually the empowered, talented working woman that feminists want to see. She's actually the game developer that Western SJWs wish they were. And that's why they hate her. Of course, for me personally, Bethesda's conference contained one other noteworthy bit. A new Commander Keen game. Commander Keen was an old PC platformer series
Já agora, ando a aproveitar e ver a opinião dele em relação ao Commander Keen.
Released on floppy disks. That's the save icon for you Zoomers. And I grew up loving those games. However, the new one is a mobile game, and it's nothing like the original, not even the same genre. Yep, just like Command & Conquer last year, another beloved franchise is being flushed down the fucking drain.
Oh shit, Commander
really?
Keen!
No, shut up, I heard mobile.
Oh, mobile, no!
Oh, Dev. Are you regretting having a really old phone now?
No. I'm regretting reviving Commander Keen as a mobile game.
It broke my heart, guys. But this leads me into my next topic. Fuck you, gamers. Video games have been getting quite bad for a while now. The blatant mistreatment of old franchises like Commander Keen or Command & Conquer is just one spoke on that wheel. Sure, there's the Final Fantasy VII Remake, which looks phenomenal, but for every FF7 there's a poorly optimized Chrono Trigger Steam port. For every Trials of Mana, there's a barely functional Secret of Mana remake. Big-name game companies seem to be floundering, with the exception of maybe Nintendo. On the flip side of the coin, indie games are in a renaissance right now, sure, but a lot of those are made by SJWs and have their shit politics shoehorned in. It's the rare indie game that is both high quality and doesn't try to convert you to fucking communism or something just for turning it on. Along with the misuse of old beloved franchises and the cancer that is the indie scene, games are also becoming hyper-corporatized. And this is due to SJW involvement even as they rant about being anti-capitalist. For example, the Epic Games Store is buying up every game in sight. even if it's very clearly at the expense of the company's workers, like with Borderlands 3, or if it breaks the terms of service of Kickstarter, like with Shenmue 3. It's easy to pin that on capitalism and think you know what's going on, but man, it's just not that simple. Unionization of tech is worth its own video, so I won't dive too deep into it here, but consider this. A lot of these game companies are in the same vein as the Silicon Valley tech giants. They're run by hyper-lefties. They've got progressive-leaning HR departments, and they use social justice logic. Remember, for example, when Kickstarter employees wanted to unionize, and Kickstarter's higher-ups said unions are intended to protect the vulnerable members of society, and we feel the demographics of this union undermines this important function. We're concerned with the misappropriation of unions for use by privileged workers. And what was the progressive reply to having their own rhetoric spewed back at them by a company? Good lord, your union is problematic and should check its privilege. Shit like this is a key danger of letting mega corporations pretend to be progressive. No, you idiot, this is exactly the future you wanted. Here's the Kickstarter staff page. Of those employees who opted to provide pictures, they're almost all white, with a sizable minority being Asian, and only a few of other races. There's also a lot of men here too. Kickstarter is right in saying that its workers are privileged and are misappropriating unions meant for the oppressed, because they're all fucking white males. You're fucking a white male! Your ideology gave them the tools to do this. This is exactly how a social...
Ele estraga tudo, estragou o cinema, estragou a televisão. Precisa que eu vou cancelar um dia destes a minha conta da nós. Se alguém lá não estiver a ouvir, uma das razões que eu vou cancelar é porque a esquerda estragou a televisão. Os 4 canais são a coisa mais estúpida que existe, são os 4 canais. E mesmo os outros canais, como a Fox Comedy, a SIC Mulheres, o canal de Histórias, estão todos estragados por causa da esquerda. A esquerda tem o poder de tocar nas coisas e transformar em merda. É um poder que a esquerda tem. Uns têm o poder de... Algumas pessoas têm o poder de transformar as coisas. Algumas pessoas têm o poder o Rei Minas tinha o poder quando tocava nas coisas transformar em ouro. A esquerda tem o poder de transformar em merda. É tão simples quanto isso. Não é? Nacionalismo não é uma coisa excelente. Mas junta a esquerda e dá social nacionalismo bem conhecido por nazis. A esquerda destrói tudo em que toca. Transforma tudo em que toca em merda. Merda que não queremos depois tocar. É tão simples quanto isso. Uma coisa que lembro, antes de continuar, uma coisa que eu me esqueci de dizer é... uma coisa interessante é em relação ao Watch Dog Legion, que é era melhor boicotarmos todos os jogos do Ubisoft durante um ano ou dois para eles aprenderem. É a única solução. Eu pessoalmente, durante um ano ou dois, vou deixar de comprar jogos da Ubisoft. Ou pelo menos um ano e meio, vou tentar deixar de comprar jogos da Ubisoft. Totalmente. Eu estou a dizer, a comprar qualquer jogo da Ubisoft, estou a dizer qualquer jogo mesmo. Inclusive os Far Cry. Que é a única maneira de eles aprenderem a não desrespeitar o clientela. E tem que ser, não há outra maneira de fazermos isso. Continuando. O da Nintendo foi mesmo sem um modelo melhor. Sim, foi, por exemplo, o da Square Enix, por exemplo, já agora outra coisa. Foi interessante, nós tivemos coisas como Final Fantasy VII, um serviço de música, que o reclame é um bocadinho estúpido, mas pronto, que pode ser interessante, e os Avengers parece ser bastante bom. Mas por outro lado, não tem muito mais coisas para além de... Não sei se eu vir aqui. Deixa eu ver se eu estou a esquecer alguma coisa nos da Square Enix. Final Fantasy VIII. Mas isto é só simplesmente um port, talvez com um ligeiro melhor gráfico, do... não é nada especial, é só um port simples do Final Fantasy VIII para... Não, do Final Fantasy VII Remake, ou é mais uma reimaginação do que provavelmente um remake. Ok. Depois tivemos... Deixa eu ver aqui. Depois tivemos o... Como é que chama aquele... Qualquer coisa Saga. Eu diria um dos jogos da série Unlimited Saga. Muitos tokens. Isso... não gosto deste jogo. Acho... Life is Strange, ou como eu gosto de chamar, Life a Tumblr. Agora... Pronto. Esse jogo é fixe, mas é só simplesmente anunciado para PC. Que é o Octave Travel. O novo Dragon Quest Builder. Um bom jogo. Mas outra vez. É algo que nós já sabíamos e não é só provavelmente um jogo que eu particularmente tenho muito interesse. Depois foi anunciado Dragon Quest 11 para... Quer dizer, já tinha sido anunciado, a gente sabia, mas foi anunciado. Foi anunciado uma espécie de jogos de indie. Depois um DLC para o Kingdom Hearts. Passou algum tempo, não é? Por isso que também já esqueci de algumas coisas. Isto é interessante para quem gosta de Final Fantasy XIV, mas eu já tentei jogar este jogo, mas nunca consegui jogar isto. Nunca consegui investir tempo no Final Fantasy XIV. Por isso, para mim mostrar estas imagens, eu nem consigo definir exatamente qual é a diferença entre qual é o sangue DLC, por isso. Deixa-me ver. Mais Final Fantasy XIV. Aquele Daylight ou qualquer coisa. Já bem, tal compilação de jogos da saga. Há um jogo dos gajos que fizeram o Dead for Dead, se não estou enganado. Sendo. E claro, depois o Avengers. Ok. Que isso não foi uma má apresentação comparado com o da Ubisoft, da Bethesda e até mesmo da Microsoft. Acho que foi uma razoável, mas comparado com o da Nintendo é que foi realmente bom. Em que tivemos. Eu não gosto muito de Super Smash, mas tivemos a apresentação dos gajos do Dragon Quest na Illuminaire, lá como se chama, no Dragon Quest logo no início. Tivemos a apresentação do Contra, que está fixe. Se ficámos a saber que o Contra não é exclusivo da Switch, também ia para a PS4, mas de qualquer maneira foi apresentado nesta apresentação. Depois o Luigi também foi fixe. O Luigi Mansion 3. O novo No More Heroes também foi fixe. E eu fiquei mesmo contente com o novo Trials of Mana. Parece que está muito bom mesmo. Ainda é um bocado cedo e eu estou um bocadinho coisa em relação ao que aconteceu com o meu Secret of Mana para a PS4, mas parece ser mas o Trial of Mana parece ser um bom jogo. E é por isso que eu considero que foi a melhor apresentação deste ano, sem dúvida. Agora, a apresentação de Devolver Digital foi interessante, foi cómica, mas em termos de jogos, nenhum jogo que me apareceu achei interessante, eu gostei. De qualquer maneira, recomendo a verem a apresentação da Devolver Digital, por uma questão de comédia. Pronto. Isso foi tudo em relação à E3. Agora passando para a PC Engine barra Turbo Grafx, PC Engine Mini barra Turbo Grafx Mini barra Turbo Grafx. Antes de mais, essa coisa dos consoles Mini eu adoro, mas só em pequenas quantidades. E qualquer dia temos consoles a mais destas mini consolas clássicas, né? Para já ainda não. Apesar que a da PlayStation foi muito má e eu não achei muito interessante a da Super Nintendo. Mas estou muito entusiasmado com a da Mega. Estou muito interessado na Mega Drive Mini ou Genesis Mini, mas mas agora vamos falar aqui, mas se me dermos cuidado vai começar a ver demasiadas consolas dessas Mini. Se eles não conseguem ter cuidado, não é nós, eles devem ter cuidado. Em relação à PC Engine, o que é a PC Engine? A PC Engine, ou Turbo Grafx, foi uma consola que saiu na altura da Mega Drive. Na América e no Japão saiu entre a Mega Drive. Não, no Japão saiu entre a Mega Drive, entre a Famicom e a Mega Drive. Nos Estados Unidos da América e na Europa. Nos Estados Unidos da América saiu. Mas já, nos Estados Unidos da América saiu depois da Mega Drive. É uma consola com uns GPUs a 6 bits, mas o resto da consola é 8 bits. Na Europa saiu, mas só em muito pequenas quantidades. Em França saiu com o nome de PC Engine, ou mas em França com o nome de Core Graphic, e em muito pequenas quantidades, e no Reino Unido saiu com o nome de Turbo Grafx, mas é Turbo Grafx 16 na América, saiu só com o nome de Turbo Grafx. Fora do Japão foi uma consola com muito pouco sucesso, mas no Japão foi uma consola que teve muito mais sucesso que a Mega Drive, e durante algum tempo chegou a ter mais sucesso que a Super Nintendo e que a NES. Houve alturas em que vendeu mais que a NES e houve alturas também vendeu mais que a... Foi também a primeira consola a ter uma drive óptica. E foi a primeira consola a ter uma drive óptica e foi a primeira consola e foi uma consola que dava cartões de crédito pequeninos. Se vamos aqui, evidente, temos aqui um vídeo a explicar a Turbo Grafx. Este vídeo explica o lançamento da Turbo Grafx na Europa.
タービジュアル、6チャンネルリアルサウンド、ニューワールドを制覇する PC エンジン全開 NEC から。
PC Engine and its North American sibling, the Turbo Grafx 16, are well known to gamers across the world, but not very many people seem to be aware that the system was officially released in Europe too, albeit not quite as originally intended. I'm the Laird, and I bring you the story of the PAL Turbo Grafx. For those that don't know, the original PC Engine was first released to Japanese customers in October 1987, where it quickly took the market by storm. Designed by Hudson Soft and manufactured by electronics giant NEC, it went straight into a head-on battle with the mighty Nintendo Famicom, also known to us Westerners as the Nintendo NES. While the PC Engine also featured a 6502-based 8-bit CPU, like Nintendo's machine, its custom 16-bit graphics hardware and highly adaptable 6-channel sound chip raised it well above its competition.
PC Engine.
シューティングフリークに挑戦 PC エンジン用ソフトエアロプラスター超スピード移植を実現し今発進地上から地上際衛星に突き進む選手の戦いエアロプラスター君の健闘を祈る
PC Engine's almost instant success saw a huge amount of publishers supporting the machine, with famous companies such as Capcom, Konami, Taito, Namco and Data East all producing games for the system. The PC Engine also became the first console to take advantage of the burgeoning CD-ROM format, when the Super CD-ROM add-on was released just over a year after the console's launch in December 1988. Japanese sales soared to well over 7 million, and the system wasn't discontinued until well into 1994, while new commercial titles were released for the PC Engine right up until 1999. With the PC Engine's success in the land of the rising sun, it only seemed natural that North American and European releases would follow. In August 1989, nearly 2 years after the Japanese launch, the console would finally be introduced to the North American audiences as the NEC Turbo Grafx 16. This moniker was chosen to promote the console's superb 16-bit graphics, which was the key feature that put it above Nintendo's market-dominating entertainment system. But the name was not the only new thing about it, though. The system had also been heavily redesigned and grown greatly in size. Test markets had shown that the American market lived by the phrase bigger is better. They had bigger cars, bigger meals and bigger houses. So naturally NEC thought that they wanted a bigger console too.
Are you one of us? 16-bit graphics or one of them? 8-bit. Us. CD game sound. Them. Not. Us. Them. Us. Turbo Express Portable. Buy Turbo Grafx 16 now and get one of 38 selected games free.
Now, us European gamers who are already familiar with the PC Engine, thanks to mail-order import shops such as Telegames and magazines like CMVG, were eagerly awaiting the European launch of the console. NEC had actually taken out paid adverts in magazines encouraging consumers not to buy these modded grey market import machines, and instead asked people to wait for its official release. NEC had intended to follow the 1989 North American release of the Turbo Grafx with a European one in the summer of 1990. Dropping the 16 part of the name that Sega had openly mocked them for, the machine would change in colour from black to grey. NEC intended to release the machine in UK, Germany and France initially, with other markets following in due course. As NEC ramped up coverage in the press, the first batch of consoles were quickly produced. Games with multi-language boxes were made up and everything was ready to ship. The European iteration would be bundled with blazing lasers, originally known as Gunhead in Japan, and would be fully compatible with the North American model, but not the original Japanese PC Engine, well, unless you use an expensive adapter, that is. Magazines of the time were eagerly anticipating the launch of the console,
but were also dubious of whether it would be able to compete with the Sega Mega Drive or the recently announced Super Nintendo that was also on its way to European shores. NEC had also begun to court European software houses in order to get them to produce new games for the Turbo Grafx. The electronics giant felt that the machine needed more Western-styled games and opted to produce a wide range of new titles rather than translate more of the original Japanese hue cards. Among the developers hired to produce new games for the Turbo Grafx were French company Logiciel, who would produce conversions of the popular 16-bit computer games Baby Joe, Squeak, Andre Panzer Kickboxing and Jim Power. In the UK they signed up Gremlin, who signed a deal to create Turbo Grafx versions of Venus the Flytrap, Switchblade 2 and Impossible, although only the latter of these actually made it out the door. Another British software company that was hastily signed up was the legendary Psygnosis, who would be asked to provide ports of Lemmings, Shadow of the Beast and Ballistics. Other European developers who signed up included Ubisoft, Rainbow Arts and Bullfrog. According to many of the people involved in producing these games, including Logiciel's development manager Pascal Yari and Gremlin's lead coder Alex Davis, the tools provided by NEC were badly translated and just not fit for purpose, meaning that there were enormous delays in getting the games produced as they had to write their own tools from scratch. The next problem came when NEC discovered that sales in North America had been extremely slow, and it was floundering next to the ever-popular NES and Sega's new console too, which was just starting to grab a real foothold. Many retailers were already reducing the space given to NEC's console to room for more Genesis games and the upcoming 16-bit Super Nintendo console too. This left NEC with a decision to make, and they quickly decided not to release the console on European shores. This angered the many European developers, who were then forced to repurpose their games for Japan and North America, as well as finding new publishers for them too. But what did NEC decide to do with all these games and consoles that they'd already manufactured, I hear you ask? Well, I'll let Telegame's Peter Mortimer explain further. NEC had decided not to release the Turbo Grafx in the UK and were offering the product to various mail-order distributors instead. We were already well known for supporting the Japanese version of the console and managed to buy a few large containers of hardware and software from them. We then distributed this system across the country. However, as it would no longer be manufactured by NEC, the supply of stock and lack of new games soon made it difficult to support as we had hoped, and it was only ever sold in limited numbers. NEC then struck similar deals with companies in both France and Germany to offload those versions of the machine too. And if you search eBay carefully, you can still pick up brand new units from the continent, although be prepared to pay some pretty hefty prices. So apart from a new colour and different packaging, what other differences were there? Well, it also provides RGB output as standard, opting for an additional RF modulator that must be plugged in to support this more traditional output. This means that it gives a far better picture than many modded and imported consoles of the time. That's about it really, as those famous turbo controllers remained exactly the same with just two buttons, a circular joypad and turbo fire switches. As with the other models of the PC Engine, there is just one controller port with a turbo tap adapter needed to plug in more. If you want to see my in-depth review of the UK version of the Turbo Grafx, and just click the little link popping up right now in the top right hand corner and you can watch it in full. Sadly, no PAL version of the Super CD-ROM was ever produced, but it will work with the North American model if you do want to track one down. But these are getting extremely hard to find in full working condition now, and fetch pretty high prices due to this. The doom and gloom continued to spread as NEC also decided to give up on the console in North America too, and in 1991 they handed over control of the Turbo to a company called Turbo Zone Direct, who continued to sell the console and games via mail order for the next few years after. Eventual sales in North America hit 2.5 million, a figure that paled in comparison when compared to its closest rivals, and is often deemed, although perhaps unfairly, as a huge failure. Nobody's really sure how many PAL Turbo Grafx consoles were sold in the UK or Europe as a whole, but it's rumoured that NEC's initial batch numbered just 200,000 units, with a very small number of games produced in multi-language boxes. These are now highly sought after by collectors. I can clearly remember the huge interest in the PC Engine on these shores when it was first introduced via importers back in 1987. I pored over magazines at the time, drooling over those arcade quality graphics and praying the machine would make it over here. In 1989, I was even lucky enough to play on one when my friend James Cairns brought one through Telegames along with copies of R-Type, Pac-Land, Shinobi and Dragon Spirit. I can't help but think that had NEC got their act together sooner and launched a Western version of the console back in 1988, thus beating Sega and the Mega Drive to the punch, it would have been a huge success and put them on the path to success for many years to come. Ah, what might have been, eh? If you enjoyed this video and want to support...
Right, vamos só ver o PC Engine ou Turbo Grafx na Europa mal saiu, praticamente não saiu aqui na Europa, mas é uma consola bastante interessante, com imensos jogos, imensos clássicos como por exemplo Final Zone, o Easy é normalmente associado a Turbo Engine, somente o 3, se não estou enganado. PC Engine, mostrei o nome da PC Engine. Danger Explorer também é outro jogo que também é associado à PC Engine. Bunkers, como é que se chama? Bunkers. Acho que é assim que se chama. Também é outro jogo que também é era a mascota oficial da PC Engine. Ups, não tenho aí. Bomberman é um jogo que também é bastante associado à PC Engine. A Castlevania, há um Castlevania para a PC Engine. Mascot. É outro jogo que também é muito associado à PC Engine. Bank, que é essencialmente a mascote da PC Engine, ou como no Japão é chamada PC Gaijin, e na Europa é PC Kid. É uma mascote. Claro que uma consola teve fora do Japão teve uma vida curta, teve depois portes para a Super Nintendo e Mega Drive. Uma coisa, só uma parte. Eu odeio quando metem a Europa, metem a bandeira da União Europeia. A Europa e a União Europeia não são a mesma coisa. Fogo! Continuando. Essa é uma parte que eu tenho que dizer. Continuando. Bomberman é outro jogo que também está associado à PC Engine. Vamos ver aqui um bocadinho. É uma consola muito interessante. E eu estou muito contente com a PC Engine e com... o port de Street Fighter é muito fixe e muito interessante. Somente porque depois havia a Turbo Express, que é uma versão portátil da consola, e a pessoa podia jogá-lo Street Fighter numa consola portátil. Vamos ver alguns jogos da PC Engine. Tem muitos portos da Sega. Bom, eu mostrar. É sempre por causa do facto que no Japão vendeu bem mais que a Mega Drive. Tanto a PC Engine como a PC Engine CD-ROM venderam muito mais do que a Mega Drive e a Mega CD. Mas claro, depende. Did you gonna spell about PlayStation 2 here because PlayStation 2? Agora, ligando para melhor. É muito fixe. O Castlevania da PC Engine é um dos melhores Castlevanias de sempre. Além de ser um dos melhores, ao mesmo tempo o melhor jogo em formato CD que existiu. É mesmo um excelente Castlevania, o Castlevania Roland of Blood. eu não gosto muito. Eu corridas de gosto. Nenhuma versão japonesa é baseada num filme japonês. Panzer é um filme japonês. Mas deixa eu gostar de ganhar no TCA, porque pode levar o teclado. Você à frente. Agora eu não gosto de jogo. Gosto de porque não gosto muito. Esse jogo é muito fixe. Muito caro, muito raro e muito caro, meu. Inclusive eu estou precisando do Game Boy. Eu estou precisando da PC Engine, como a versão a versão do Game Boy Color. É muito caro, estou precisando da PC Engine, como a versão do Game Boy Color. A história do Wonderboy e desse jogo é muito interessante. Sugiro que depois. Depois vermos a seguir a este vídeo. Sinceramente vai ter muitos shooters. Shooter ups. E bastante RPGs também. É mesmo preciso ter muitos shooters e muitos. Vai ser igual. Vamos agora ver o que é que os japoneses vão ter. Jogos. Vai ser diferentes jogos entre. Em relação às mini consolas é o facto de que os países têm. Os japoneses têm sempre diferente do resto dos países. Isso acontece tanto com a Mega Drive como com a PC. Tem sempre jogos, uma lista completamente diferente de jogos. Grande jogo. Tal que eu estava a falar, grande jogo mesmo. Um dos jogos que nós tenhamos, dos outros jogos que não nos vão acrescentar, que seja o Tal Castlevania. Agora, vamos aqui então ver a história do Underboy. Ok, eu recomendo que vejam este vídeo, agora não vou mostrar este vídeo. Ok, vou mostrar, mas foi um bocadinho. Esperem só um bocadinho. livre.
Hello, and welcome to GameSack. This episode, we're going to take a look at the Wonder Boy.
É complicado entre Wonder Boy entre o Wonder Boy e o entre o Wonder Boy e o Island Adventure. Só mais uma coisa. Já vamos. Eu preciso mandar mais um comentário. Uma resposta a um comentário. Peço imensa desculpa, só que eu preciso. Só mais aqui 2 com.
We're working together. You told me Robbie's phone.
Mikey. Já um bocadinho. É assim.
Good old Mohammed. In Islam, Muhammad is considered a person who has reached perfection. He embodies the divine attributes of God. And Muslims consider him the ultimate role model.
A journalist and
Surah
political
33
activist
verse 21,
in England,
which is one of many
was
pieces of
recently
text that sets this out.
arrested,
Ibn Arabi, a Sufi mystic
sentenced,
philosopher
and
and poet, also helped establish this idea. The situation in Europe today is as if Muhammad was still alive. His strict followers of Islam are behaving exactly the same way as Muhammad did, because he was a criminal and he was a warlord. And if Muhammad was still around and he behaved the same way as he did in the 7th century, he'd rack up a pretty impressive list of criminal convictions, just like myself. Let's have a look at some of them. Rape and molestation of a minor. In the Bukhari Hadith, Volume 5, Book 58, 234 and 235, it states that Muhammad was engaged to Aisha when she was 6 years old. Yes, 6. He consummated that marriage, or he raped her, as most people would say, when she was just 9. In the UK, the molestation and rape of a minor results in the prosecution under the Sexual Offences Act. If convicted, Muhammad could face life imprisonment. Physical assault and child abuse. What a guy. Muhammad struck his wife Aisha in the chest. He beat up her child, causing her great pain. Under UK law, Muhammad would be charged under the Offences Against the Persons Act, which carries between 2 and 7 years imprisonment. He could also be charged under the Child and Young Persons Act 1933, with a sentence of up to 10 years imprisonment. Sex slaves. After beheading the men of Banu Qurayza, Muhammad took women and young girls as sex slaves. Being charged with sex slavery is punishable by up to life imprisonment. What a guy! Along with the charge of sex slavery, Muhammad would also face charges of rape, which is also punishable by up to life imprisonment. And by the way, if any of the followers of Islam deny this, there are many other stories that involve Muhammad raping, murdering and enslaving. Sophia. She was the daughter of a Jewish tribal chief. She was married to a man called Kanana. Upon learning that Kanana had hidden his treasures, Muhammad instructed his men to burn him with a hot iron rod, set fire to his stomach until he revealed his secrets. His men then beheaded Kanana. Muhammad took his wife, Sophia, that night as a sex slave. This story is explained in the biography of Muhammad by Ibn Ishaq. That's one of the most recognised biographies of the Prophet Muhammad in the world. This brings us to torture. Yes, torture. Under Article 3 of the Human Rights Act, torture is punished severely. It has also been illegal for centuries under English common law and would likely result in a life sentence. Robbery. By torturing Kanana and stealing his treasures, Muhammad would also receive a charge of robbery. Once again, English law says that a person guilty of robbery or of an assault with intent to rob shall on conviction on indictment be liable to life imprisonment. Terrorism. This is the point. Terrorism. Muhammad promoted violence against all those who created fitna, which by its Quranic definition is disbelief in Muhammad and Allah. You know, every non-Muslim. In the Bukhari Hadith, it shows that Muhammad instructed people to fight all people unless they believed in Allah and that Muhammad is Allah's apostle. By ordering his followers to become terrorists, Muhammad would be charged under the Terrorism Act of the year 2000. The Act states that terror is a threat that is designed to intimidate the public or a section of the public, and that the threat is made for the purpose of advancing political, religious, or ideological causes. Once again, this means life imprisonment for Mo, planning and organising assassinations. Muhammad also ordered the murder of Al-Ashraf, a Jewish poet who wrote insulting verses about Islam. Muhammad asked his followers, "Who will rid me of this man?" which resulted in his people stabbing Al-Sharaf to death. The story can be found in Bukhari, Volume 5, Book 59, number 369. By conspiring to commit murder, Muhammad would face yet another life sentence under Section 1A and 2A of the Criminal Law Act 1977. Well done, Mo. Top guy. Mass murder. Ibn Kathir, one of the most revered and influential Sunni scholars of all time, cites the Quran's chapter 33 and verses 26 to 27 and 9 to 10 as explaining Muhammad's attack against the Banu Qurazi tribe. Muhammad and his followers beheaded around 800 men and boys. If done today, Muhammad would be in prison for the rest of his life, after being charged for mass murder and potentially even war crimes. Muhammad would serve a life imprisonment sentence for every man he personally killed, and hefty sentences for the lives taken as a result of him instructing his men to do the same. Believe it or not, this is not an exhaustive list. I could spend weeks talking about the crimes committed by Muhammad, but just the ones I've outlined would land the so-called prophet with monumentally large... Thanks for watching. If you like that...
Agora então está a história do Wonder Boy e Adventure Island.
Series.
Como é que não vi?
Yeah, and what else? And the bastard offshoot Adventure Island.
You mean the evolution?
Oh no, I mean bastard offshoot. I mean it's a complete rip-off.
In a good way.
Well, a lot of you may not be familiar with either the Wonder Boy series or the Adventure Island series, but no time like the present for some learning.
Yeah, let's get to it.
Wonder Boy was a game where you had a constantly depleting health bar and you were required to keep getting fruit in order to stay alive. It was a sleeper hit in the arcades, but Sega brought it home to the Master System where it enjoyed more success. And look at this woman in the title screen. She's making that same face that chicks love to do on Facebook. Look at that. Duck face. Anyway, this game has pretty clean graphics. It's fairly close to the arcade.
Yeah, super bright colors here. I like that. But look at Wonder Boy, though. He looks kind of like a dope with his blonde hair.
I know. Well,
is that hair or a lemon cut in half on his head?
Looks like sort of a white pygmy, I guess.
Yeah, well, you know.
The music in this game, it's kind of annoying. It sounds like a carnival. It just plays over and over and over.
Yeah, they made it a little bit too short and looped it too often.
But it is a true version of the arcade. It's not some sort of crappy Me Too version. We'll get into that in a sec. But this game is known as Revenge of Drancon on the Game Gear for whatever reason. And it's basically the same, just cropped a whole lot. Wonder Boy was created by Sega Aniscape, now known as Westone or West One, whatever. Long story short, Hudson got a license from Escape to do a home port, but Sega still owned the rights to Wonder Boy itself. So Hudson changed the characters into Master Higgins or whatever his stupid little name is to skirt this issue, and as such we have what is now known as the Adventure Island series of games. You know, this really seems like a sprite hack of Wonder Boy, even though the gameplay is identical.
Yeah, but look how cool he is. He doesn't have lemon-colored hair in this one. He wears an awesome baseball cap like Mario, and he wears a cool loincloth of leaves. And I love how he's all about safety, wearing a helmet and pads while he's skateboarding.
Yeah, but I think the graphics are kind of crappy, and just look at the colors. It just looks like crap because it's on the Nintendo. And
oh, whatever. The sprites are much bigger than what was on the Master System, so, you know, they're better and easier on your eyes.
Well, the character looks like he has an IQ of about 3. Come on. He collects vases instead of dolls, so I guess they had to change that around. I don't know why.
Well, I know why. Because dolls are for girls, and, you know, Hudson's like, we're not going to have guys collecting girl stuff in our game. That's for girls. Leave it to Sega.
You know, I actually wrote a letter to Hudson Soft back in the day saying I will not buy Hudson Soft games because they ripped off Wonder Boy. And I never got a response back, but I honestly wrote them that, and I didn't know the story behind the games back then.
And I'm sure you bought a Hudson Soft game since.
Yes. Hudson decided to follow up with a bunch of sequels that had nothing really to do with Wonder Boy, such as Hudson's Adventure Island 2 on the Nintendo Entertainment System.
Adventure Island 2 on the NES. Oh, this is great. It's pretty much more the same of what you found in the first Adventure Island, but they did add a world map, and levels are split up into islands on this world map, which each level has a crap load of tiny levels under one island. It also included bonus levels, vertical scrolling levels, and it introduced animals to ride.
What about Hudson's Adventure Island 3? I mean, that's the same old thing again, nothing new, right?
Well, Joe, you're exactly right. This is pretty much wash, rinse, and repeat on this one. It has a little bit nicer graphics and art, added a couple new weapons, and a duck feature, so it was slightly enough to call it a new or a sequel, but, you know, not too much new here.
Well, how about Hudson's Adventure Island 4, which was never released in the US? They tried to make the gameplay lean a little bit more towards adventure and less towards action. I don't think it really worked.
Well, it's hard to say. I mean, if you're used to a game that goes at a quick pace, yeah, this is not it. They added a lot of puzzles and doors and stuff to slow the game down immensely, and some people kind of like that. Could go either way. I don't know.
Hudson didn't leave out the Game Boy either. We got 2 ports of the NES games to the old black and white. Adventure Island on the Game Boy was actually a port of Adventure Island 2 from the NES.
Yes, it was.
And Adventure Island 2 on the Game Boy was actually a port of Adventure Island 3 from the NES.
Yes, this is a true fact.
Yes. There are also versions of Adventure Island on the Game Boy Advance, but these are just the original Nintendo versions ported over. Same goes for any versions on PSN, Wii Virtual Console, or Xbox Live. God, we've been talking about these Adventure Island games for long enough already.
Yeah, you can talk about them forever.
No. I thought this was a Wonder Boy retrospective, right?
Partly.
All right, well, let's talk about some more Wonder Boy games, starting with Wonder Boy 2.
Okay, I'm going to go grab a soda, so call me when you're done, all right?
Oh, no. I need your input on this. Let's talk about Wonder Boy 2.
Okay, let's go.
Wonder Boy in Monsterland was the arcade follow-up to the original game, and it changed the style of play greatly. You no longer need fruit, but instead you need time, which I guess is the same thing when you think about it. The gameplay is slower with an emphasis on questing. Sega brought it home to the Master System with great results.
Man, look at this game. It is very colorful. You remember when games actually had color in them?
I do. There are lots of hidden doorways to find in this game. What's this? Someone be beyond the wall? What is this, Ebonics?
That's the funny part, and that's what makes this game so fun to play and explore.
Yeah, this game had different music than the arcade, but I still think the music's really good.
Oh, totally good. The only part that drowns out the music that's super annoying is when you're about to die and there's that super loud alarm that just, it won't go away until you get some more hearts.
Yeah, I agree. I hate that. And this game absolutely requires you to use the Sega Master System control pad, so don't try playing it with the Genesis controller. Other than that, it's a fun game.
Agreed.
Hudson once again got their half-assed license for the game and brought it to the PC Engine in a game called By Curie Man World.
What? By Curious Man? I didn't get that vibe. He doesn't look bi-curious to me.
Well, I guess he is, otherwise they would have called it something else. Anyway, this is another sprite-hacked game with anime characters from some random anime, I guess. Has a giant bar on the left side of the screen, but that means it's more faithful to the arcade. And the whole game is in Moon language, making it very difficult to understand if you don't speak that Moon language. But overall, it's still a very good game. Wonder Boy 3 Monster Lair is the last Wonder Boy-based arcade game. It drops the questing in favor of once again collecting fruit. The second half of each stage acts like a shooter. Sega brought it home to the Mega Drive in Japan and it never came to the US.
Ew, look at that though. It's ugly, that's why.
To be honest, it's fairly boring. Hudson once again had their version of the game, this time for the Turbo Grafx CD, but it was one of the very first CD video games ever released on a console in the US.
Oh, and the CD makes all the difference. I mean, listen to that music.
Yeah, the music is light years ahead of the other two versions.
Yeah, and I really like this game with auto-scrolling. It really keeps the pace up.
Yeah, it's much more fun to play than either the arcade or the Mega Drive version, in my opinion.
Oh, totally, and it gives you a nice, cool amount of weapons to choose from.
Yeah, Monster Lair for your Turbo Grafx CD. Wonder Boy 3 The Dragon's Trap is not to be confused with Wonder Boy 3 Monster Lair. This game is a direct sequel to Wonder Boy and Monsterland and appeared first on the Sega Master System. The game starts you in the last maze from Monsterland, but it's much, much easier here. In fact, it's totally hard to get lost or die.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, you have to be a total dipwad to get lost in this thing. I mean, it takes 3 or 4 tries, but you make it through very, very quickly.
Yeah, 3 or 4 tries for you. But once you get through, you lose all of your hearts for no reason after you get to the town. But everything is nice, bright, colorful. I love it.
Yeah, definitely a cool game. I mean, good music.
Great music.
Great music and spots.
No, great music, the whole thing.
Hey, what's up with Sega putting the pause button on the console? I mean, who wants to get off their butt and go into the status screen, you know, every time they need to switch something around?
Yeah. It's to help you get exercise. It's like their version of Wii Fit. So it kept gamers from getting fat.
Oh, right. I'm pretty sure Nintendo laughed at this idea.
Yeah, okay. But this game has, the only thing I really don't like about it is the choppy scrolling. And you can't really tell very much on YouTube, but it's there. It scrolls kind of choppily.
Yeah, and I really don't like those damn crabs either. Oh my god, they're impossible to get past.
Impossible for you. Again, Hudson just had to have their own version, so they made Dragon's Curse for the Turbo Grafx 16.
As usual, Hudson improves upon Sega's efforts in graphics and music. I mean, look at this.
Yeah, well, the music is a lot better, and it does have smoother scrolling. You can't really tell on YouTube, like I said, but it is definitely better in every way.
I mean, it's better in every way. The only thing they should have done is taken out the stupid crabs.
Yeah, they have different looking animals that you play as than Wonder Boy 3, but otherwise it's pretty faithful.
Yeah, very good game.
Sega and West One, whatever, were at it again when they came up with Wonder Boy and Monster World, which returns to the Monsterland style of gameplay. This here is the Genesis version. The game has a very slow pace until you get better boots.
Oh my god, is that slow?
Yes, it is, but, you know, it's still fairly fun, in my opinion. I mean, I like the style of gameplay.
Yeah, very colorful, really good graphics. I do like the art style in here.
Yeah, and it required the mastering of the ocarina, which of course means that this is the best video game ever.
Oh, I love ocarinas. Nintendo had that really cool game with the ocarina.
But Sega had it first, so it's better. It was also ported to the Sega Master System, but it was never released in the US. And it's a fairly faithful translation. Some short transitional sections were left out, and it still requires the mad ocarina skills.
The ocarina again?
Yep.
Sheesh.
Yep. Hudson Soft took the game, added an anime intro with some chick singing, hacked the sprites, and gave us Dynastic Hero on the Turbo Grafx CD/Turbo Duo. It plays exactly like Wonder Boy and Monster World on the Genesis, but with sprite-hacked characters and different music. And the game is crazy expensive. Be prepared to get your anus extremely stretched when purchasing this one.
Oh my god, and I don't like getting my anus stretched, so I will not be purchasing this one.
Oh, I think you will. Sega and West Company took one last stab at the series with Monster World 4. It's on the Mega Drive and it's a fantastic game, and unfortunately it never saw release outside of Japan. Wonder Boy isn't in here, but it clearly takes place in Monster World.
Yeah, definitely. It's kind of a nice change to have Wonder Girl in here, but
it's a great game with fast-moving action.
Yeah, totally awesome. The only slowdown part is when you get to the Sphinx and he asks you trivia questions, and
yeah, and that moon language again. What's up with that?
God, yeah, and if you can't read that, you're in trouble.
Some of the music has been lifted from Wonder Boy and Monsterland as well, but it's overall a fantastic game, and you should buy it today.
Today. Are you happy now, Joe? We're done with the Wonder Boy stuff, I think, and we still have some Adventure Island games I'd like to talk about.
No. We're done. See ya.
We're not done yet. Hold tight. We got a few more Adventure Island games to touch on, so sit still.
Damn it. First up is New Adventure Island for the Turbo Grafx 16. Now this is kind of a remake of the first game, but not really. I guess it's half a remake and half a new game, but it's still pretty cool.
Oh, it's totally cool, especially because it has that Super Nintendo effect where it gets you zoomed into each level.
No. That looks like ass.
I like it.
Oh god.
And here we have Super Adventure Island on the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. But you know, I think this is the best Adventure Island game ever. It has fantastic music by Yuzo Koshiro.
Oh my god, Joe, you are so right that this is by far the best Adventure Island game ever. And it's because Yuzo, Nintendo, Hudson... Hey, what system was that on again? I didn't really hear that.
Super Nintendo?
You're right, it is.
Oh. And that was followed up by Super Adventure Island 2, also on the Super Nintendo. Now this one's a little bit more adventure-based, almost like an RPG, and you know, I kind of think it sucks.
Yeah, you know what? I think people were beating the first one so fast that they wanted more, and Hudson's like, well, you know what? We'll put an adventure thing in here and make it a lot longer game, and it really didn't work.
No, it didn't, and it doesn't have Yuzo Koshiro music either, and it just it makes me want to turn it off. Let's go to another game. Unfortunately, Hudson just couldn't let its Adventure Island series rest in peace. So they made a brand new downloadable game for the Wii, and it's called Adventure Island: The Beginning. This is a side-scrolling game made entirely of yucky polygon graphics.
You know, that's the hard part, is because I know these companies want to get modern, but side-scrolling games with polygons, it just doesn't look good. It lags. It just is not good.
No, it looks worse than any other Adventure Island or Wonder Boy game. I mean, far worse in my opinion. It has stupid music, and these springs, I just cannot master the spring to get up here. What the hell? How do you do this? I'm just too stupid, I guess. Say, Dave, let's do some head-to-head comparisons of some of the various games.
Oh, that's awesome. I love when you do that. Let's do it.
Pronto. Chega para analisar. Pensamos que a atualização foi uma merda. Que o Ubisoft é uma merda. Que a Nintendo é muito cool. Não se porta bem. Que a PC Engine é muito fixe. Que vai ter uma versão mini. E o relacionamento entre o Wonder Boy e o Adventure Island Adventure. Ou Adventure Island. Adventure. Não, ao contrário. Exatamente, deve ficar confuso já. Agora estou a ficar confuso, caramba. Eu já sei tarde. Agora e a relação entre Adventure Islands e Wonder Boy. Pronto, era tudo. Até qualquer dia. E pronto, foi uma pena que esta 3 tenha sido tão fraquinha. Pronto.